So here we are. US President Donald J. Trump announces the creation of the brand new strategic Bitcoin reserve and US digital asset stockpile. So we got two entities. We got the Bitcoin strategic reserve and we got the digital asset stockpile. So right off the bat, there's a distinction being drawn between Bitcoin and all the other coins, which is kind of cool. There's a lot of speculation and panic over the last week about what will this reserve look like, what will it entail. A big attack vector was, why are we using US taxpayers' dollars to buy all these different coins that Trump has posted on Truth Social? And when you start looking at the fact sheet of what is being proposed here, it's a lot less dramatic than what was portrayed before. Basically what is happening is the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve will audit all of the existing Bitcoin holdings that the government has, because all this Bitcoin was seized. It was obtained through criminal proceedings and forfeiture from criminals. And now all this Bitcoin is in the United States government custody, and there needs to be a framework and structure in place on how to manage it, how to hold it. The commitment that is being made now is that none of this Bitcoin will be sold. And there's some language about not using taxpayers' dollars to purchase additional Bitcoin. However, they are leaving the door open. They're using a little bit of the vague language in there to say, hey, we should look at budget neutral ways of acquiring additional Bitcoin. That could be interpreted in a multitude of different ways. What does it mean to acquire Bitcoin in a budget neutral way, right? You can do a lot of hand wavy things and justify acquiring additional Bitcoin. So I think it's pretty bullish for Bitcoin in general, the fact that the United States will not sell it, number one. And the second is that there is a pathway for acquiring additional Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to US digital stockpile, there's no such commitment not to sell it. So if the custodian of these assets decides to sell it, they can manage it more of like a hedge fund where they can make investing decisions, whether or not it makes sense to hold a given token or crypto in this stockpile. And so it gives them a little bit more flexibility. And I'd say it's a little bit more bearish for all these other coins that are non-Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. Now, a more important thing that is happening right now is the crypto summit. It's actually underway as I'm recording this. A lot of industry insiders were in attendance, including Donald Trump. It was kind of interesting. They had this closed door session for most of the summit. They really let the media in the beginning when they were making introductions. And this first portion of the summit that was open to the media was very interesting. It was just, again, these industry insiders going around the table and praising and complimenting Donald Trump. They're saying, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this and that. And to me, again, I'm trying to be very politically neutral here. I'm not trying to take either the right or the left side on this. I'm just looking at it objectively. And it just seemed like a little bit manipulative when all these insiders were really trying to feed into channeling all this praise to Trump's ego to make sure that he gives them free rein to do whatever they want. Now, the only federal entity that was kind of in the way of crypto innovation was CFPB. That stands for Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, CFPB is a bit controversial because it's associated with Elizabeth Warren, and they've done a lot of debanking. They primarily targeted fintech founders that were starting their startups. It also went after some of the political opponents, allegedly. From what I've seen online, there's some allegations of CFPB acting as an arm of the Democratic Party that goes after people that are not aligned with them politically.
Administration extended that concept to apply it to tech founders, crypto founders, and then just generally political opponents. So that's been like super pernicious.
I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, 100%. And this is called, so it was Operation Choke Point 1.0 was 15 years ago against the pot and the guns. Choke Point 2.0 is primarily against their political enemies and then to their disfavored tech startups.
And so when Trump came into office, he kind of suspended their authority and activity on those grounds that they became a political machine rather than just, a just enforcer of, regulations. And so with CFPB out of the way, with Trump fully on board, hosting these tech founders in the White House, they're planning something big. And Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, kind of indicated what they're going to talk about. Take a listen.
and we are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime. And as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that.
So basically what Scott is saying is that the real meat of this conversation is stablecoins. Stablecoins are very attractive to a lot of these tech founders. They're very attractive to these large corporations because it's something that they wanted to implement very early on. Like if you remember Facebook attempting to announce Libra as a payment option within their platform, that got immediate pushback from the administration at the time. I think it was Democratic administration. Now the tides are shifting, and it seems like this administration is fully embracing stablecoins. What that means is banks and financial institutions, so entities like Bank of America and other large banks and Robinhood, and then companies like X and Meta and Amazon, they can all issue their own stablecoins that are backed by underlying assets like US dollars, US treasuries, maybe hard assets like gold or maybe even Bitcoin. And, they're always convertible. For one stablecoin converts to one US dollar, and they'll be adapted, and there's going to be competition for the market share, and they will slowly start phasing out US dollar, which US dollar will still be there, but it's just going to be pegged to these stable coins. And really these corporations and these financial entities and institutions will be able to issue and mint their own coins. To me, what that is indicating is the shift of power from the nation state, US government, to these trans-international corporations. And ironically, it goes against Trump's agenda, right? Trump's agenda, officially, the platform that he ran on was America first, but now we're seeing him giving up some of this power to these tech companies and banks. Now, to play devil's advocate on the pro-Trump side, if we don't do this, if we don't become the leader of stablecoins and crypto and become the crypto capital of the world, what will happen is other countries will take that spot because it's never empty. And if they make cross-border transactions cheap, easy, accessible, they will push their currencies to become dominant and replace US dollar as the world reserve currency. So we're kind of in a weird spot here where we have to move forward with stable coins just to stay relevant and to stay and to have this market share for global trade and global reserve currency. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. Another angle to this is trying to analyze how the tariffs and the trade war is playing into all of this. Now I'm going to get a little bit more conspiratorial when it comes to this, so bear with me. But if you think about what is happening right now, is the United States is essentially distancing itself from its allies and partners, Canada, Mexico, Europe. Trump administration is being very inward focused and saying like, hey, we're going to impose a tariff, we're going to do this and that. And so what I think this will lead to is when we go and start selling our debt, if you probably know that US debt is held by entities outside of the United States. So other countries come and buy US treasuries as a safe haven investment, right, that they can earn interest on. And what do you think will happen at the next round of US treasury sales? I think the demand for them will fall because these countries will not be as interested holding US treasuries, because when you think of US as an ally, it's a safer thing to hold US debt. But if all of a sudden the United States becomes confrontational and you're holding US debt, they can just freeze your assets. They can, not pay you back. And we've seen what happened with Russia and its assets being frozen, right? So now these countries will be less incentivized to buy more US treasuries. On the opposite, they'll be dumping US treasuries. As that happens, when the demand for US treasuries falls, the yield or the interest on the treasuries has to increase, right? Because you have to incentivize people to go ahead and buy them. Now, it's really bad for the US economy when the interest rates on US treasuries goes up, because guess what? We are at a historic debt level, and some of this debt needs to be restructured, refinanced, and every time we refinance the debt, we want to make sure it's being refinanced at a lower interest rate. But what is happening now, these interest rates will go up. So the only solution, the only possible solution at this point will be issuing stable coins. And these entities they'll come and say, hey, we're here to rescue you. We're going to go ahead, issue our stablecoins, and we'll back these stablecoins with US treasuries. So we're going to create artificial demand for US debt, and we'll be able to effectively lower the interest rate on, lower the yield on US treasuries and stabilize the economic situation. So I think that's how it's going to play out. And it's going to happen sooner than we think, because there are cracks in the economy, and it looks like US Secretary of Treasury is on board with these coins. So he's on the same team, right? He's on the same team with David Sachs, who is associated with the PayPal mafia. And PayPal was originally supposed to be X.com, and it was always meant to be the everything app, right? Elon Musk always wanted X to be an app where you can watch videos, where you can socialize, where you can stream things, and that's where we're moving towards. This last component is to have a payment mechanisms to also act as a bank, and I think he will achieve that by creating some sort of X coin, right? Once this legislation is passed, and I think it will be passed very quickly. Banks are interested in this, financial institutions are interested in this, all the large tech companies are interested in this, and I think it will happen maybe even by the end of this year. So let me know what you guys think about all of this. Are you alarmed by the fact that we're losing power as a nation state and giving it up to these tech oligarchs? Or are you excited about all the stable coins and all the perks and points you can get on your stable coins? Are you bullish on these coins? Are you bearish? What is your stance? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I'll be releasing more content as the situation unfolds, so stay tuned for more.